Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, how are you guys?
Good afternoon.
Excellent. Good afternoon to everyone joining us. We do appreciate this on this wonderfully exciting Thursday afternoon. We can understand that you have many other channels to choose from. We appreciate your custom patronage and viewers. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your milkman, tell your dentist, tell the cat next door that comes over into the garden and leaves its business in your soil. Yes, today, as Jack McFakey seems to suggest, I am Mr. Grumpy, as I think a lot of us are. How are you feeling, Ryan? How are you feeling, Amy?
Nervous.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake on this game, and I'd have to agree with Amy. I'm feeling the nerves, and I wasn't too enamoured by what I was listening to in the press conference before. I nearly said Frank Lampard again. It might as well be Frank Lampard, but Sean Dyche. But we'll save that for you, Ian, as directed. But yeah, I'm very, very nervous about this game.
Yeah. You, Amy?
It's they keep saying it, don't they? It's a must win and it's a 6-pointer, and the more times I hear neutrals and people who don't support us saying that, the sicker I feel, knowing that it actually is a must win game, and I hate it when it's a must win game for Everton.
Isn't every game a must win?
Yes, Dyche, yes it is. That's what both managers said though, didn't they? Every game in the Premier League is a must win game, and I know, but if we lose this one, the hope slowly dwindles again.
Could you say, as playing devil advocate here, that this is also just a must not lose? Because if we the one thing we can't do is give Leeds points when we're chasing them. And losing would be an absolute disaster, because I think that opens up a gap. A draw, I think, depending on the context, I think could be accepted, but we have to go and win this game, because looking at some of these other fixtures, I don't have much confidence in beating anyone from, say, 12th upwards in the table. I think most of these games are a write-off. I just don't think we have the players at the top end of the pitch to cause these teams problems. But I think if we can catch some of the bad teams on an off day and play for set pieces and stuff, I think we can try and get something.
Well, I think it's very interesting from Dyche's presser, where he was talking about even some of the players have said we're too nice going forward, and we don't necessarily have. I mean, the fact that we don't have a recognised Premier League #1 starting 11 striker in that DCL is, what was it, improbable. As Dyche said, he's not going to start. So, yeah, Eugene McKeever has already said, all the regulars, thank you for joining us. Peter, the Blues, Eugene, Kevin, really appreciate, thank you for coming on so we can share the misery. As Eugene just said, DCL is improbable, still out. And he was talking about training and whether you can be proactive and reactive and whether it's in a controlled environment. And clearly he's trying to get everyone up to speed, because what he was talking about was raising the minimum. And I think that's a polite way of saying that when last season, certainly when the players dropped down their performance and it wasn't on par or as expected, the bare minimum of what they were getting was getting us caught with our pants down and getting a spanking and losing and throwing away games and not getting the second goal and capitulating. And lack of striker options. We've been harping on to play Sims, and yet the moment we play him, he gets a baptism of fire in a way, because it's his first Premier League match. But then we're immediately critical and say play Mopé, when we were saying regularly last season, oh, don't play Mopé, he's shit. Or we weren't, but loads of people were. Well, some people were. What do you do?
Well, the thing is, Evertonians, we are a fickle bunch, but at the same time, we're searching for answers. We're looking for any bit of hope we can in anything. And for a lot of fans, the hope has been completely drained out of them. I mean, you look at those options there that you talk about for up front. Ellis Sims, he had a reasonably good loan spell at Sunderland, but I watched a lot of his goals and they were very, very scrappy goals. Not sort of the goals that Premier League defenders allow you to score. And then you've got Neal Maupay, 1 goal in 27 games. For me, that is a real concern. And then you look at Damari Gray. I think he's the
As
only
an
Maverick player in the team, and we're at the point where Sean Dyche might not even find a place for him. But I think he's the only player with a little bit of something different about him. The rest are very wooden. Amy, I don't know what you think. We've got to try and find a way to bring in Damari Gray somewhere. And
yeah, I think he's one of our only pacey players that we've got left as well now, who can actually get that speed behind him where he can dip in and out of the channels and get into boxes. I'm not sure how he would play as a complete out-and-out false nine striker or anything of the sort like that, but I want to find him a place in there, maybe on the wings again, where he is used to playing. Because we can't forget, when he does play well, he plays really well. Like, he does fit in well. He seems to work well with the other players as well. You know, when you see the videos of them all in training, it seems like they have quite a bit of respect for him. They don't ignore him when he's out on the pitch or anything like that either. And if we can fit him in, that'll be good. But I don't see him going up, not as a one on his own at the top anyway. So I don't know if that answers our goal scoring issues right now either.
We've definitely got some food for thought here. I mean, we'll talk about systems in a minute and whether we should go to a 4-4-2 to accommodate Damari Gray, whether we need the actual third midfielder in there against quite a good transitional team. So that's a topic I'm sure Ian will bring us onto. But for me, he's a Maverick, and I am concerned about how we approach this game from a way to score goals. I mean, Dyche's teams are set up to be aggressive, to press, but also be reactive and drop when needed. And it's all about crossing the ball into the box as well. Now, without a target man, the style of play that Dyche wants to embed goes out the window completely for me. You know, how can we play a crossing style of football like we did against Arsenal without a target man? And so it simply dictates that Ellis Sims has to be given a run out. And I just want to point out, and I'm sure you'll agree, it's an absolute disgrace that in 2023, that this Everton side can't be competitive at this level because of how badly we have recruited, how badly we have scouted, and how badly we have planned for the future.
Well, on that note, sorry, Amy, were you about to say?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I was just agreeing. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. On that note, I mean, Dyche was saying that it's integral and it's important to get the scouting and the sourcing and the assessment of available options, because somebody asked him, is it likely or is it unlikely that we'd get a free agent in by now? Is it the fact that we haven't? And Dyche said, I'd imagine so. So I don't think we're getting anyone in, as people are saying. I'd rather have Isco and put someone as a false nine or maybe shift someone up. Someone also said in the press conference about getting a centre half or someone like Keane to have that aerial presence, because whether or not it's the goal scoring ability on the ground and the movement that a centre forward has, as you say, the crossing style of play has been make it, a header or make them challenge, and it's the second ball. It's feeding it down, as we saw after the first sort of 20 minutes against Arsenal. It's then getting McNeil and Iwobi in to get those second balls and to create the pressure where immediately the back line are on the back foot. But what Michael Skabala said in his press conference was that both him and Dyche were sort of schooled to a certain extent under a footballing coach called John Duncan. So to some extent, they might know that. I mean, obviously, a good football manager to become or to get to the stage of where he's got to has to progress, develop their own styles, and have more in their tool bag than just a very rigid style. It's like a fighting style or the swordsman style is that you need to be adaptable. You need to, you learn the basics and then develop your own one. So if we're going to play the crossing game, then you'd expect Onana to push forward. You'd expect Iwobi to sort of pick up those extra balls, because as Gray was really good at, and is really good at, is finding that yard of space and going, I'm gonna take a shot. And we've not had that as much. So yeah, sorry, I don't want to rant on too long. But
no, it's okay. Just in the benefits of giving this stream some structure, Amy, could you talk us through the press conference from Dyche and anything in particular with regards to team news first and foremost?
I think he's not looking to get that centre back in. The way he said when they were questioned about Mina, he's got an aerial presence. He can get in there and score them goals. He didn't seem too enamoured by that idea. He You know, like he wasn't, oh yeah, we'll have a bit of Yerry Mina then, why not? He don't know whether he wants to keep that quiet because that is an idea he has. They can't give everything away, can they? But it seems like he wants to play that attacking style of football where he does need that striker up front. DCL's obviously not coming in. There's no question about that.
Can I come in on that
so-
DCL thing, Amy?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He said for Liverpool it was touch and go. He literally said he was touch and go at best for Liverpool. He's had another week. So they're telling us. I feel like we're being stitched up
it's
here.
all physical with him either. Do you remember at the end of last season he said he'd had a really tough personal year anyway? I think he's struggling to find his form. Not to how do I put this non-metaphorically? Struggling to find the form within himself. Like he's not got the confidence in himself to say that. So if he can sit there and take another week out, I think he is choosing to take that other week out. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that as well, but there's something else deeper going on there other than these constant recurring injuries. I'm convinced.
And any other team news, Ian, that was apparent from that press conference?
Not really. James Garner isn't fit yet. Sean Dyche is going to watch the under-21s at some point because he hasn't seen them. I don't know when the next under-21s game is.
It's tomorrow,
off the top of my head.
think.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a very highly rated young striker, haven't we, in the under-21s at the
Cannon.
moment? No, another one.
Dixon.
With a long name.
Oh, Lewis.
He's in the young kids. He's doing very well.
I mean, I could have a quick look if you wanted. If you could fill.
Yeah, I was reading on the Athletic something earlier about one of the kids in the under 21s being a striker being very highly thought of. But basically, what we're trying to say, guys, unfortunately, there's no one coming back to save us from injuries. James Garner is not available, but we do have 6 central defenders: Ben Godfrey, Mason Holgate, Yerry Mina, Michael Keane, Connor Cody, and James Tarkowski. So if you wanted, we could play 6 central defenders and literally try and overpower teams from long balls and whatnot. But it is very concerning. He did talk about transfers as well. And I couldn't tell you. Yann. He talked about transfers, and the first question actually asked in the press conference was basically saying, why didn't you sign anyone? You've known about this for a long time. How could you not bring someone in? And I think Sean Dyche answered the question quite well. He said everything we probably would have expected him to say, in fairness, about he was working tirelessly to get people in. He can only talk about from when he's been here, not previous regime, and that they're putting steps in place to prevent another similar scenario where we, for example, didn't sign a right back for 2 years when we needed one. And this sort of thing now, he says he's going to make sure that it won't happen again in terms of the recruitment. But I'm glad. It was nice, actually, wasn't it, Amy, to see an actual question really trying to target what all the fans are feeling for once and not just pissing around it.
I don't know if they're going to... Don't know whether they expect him to sit there and say, yeah, it's all on the board's fault to them. They're not giving me no money. They're not giving me no help, or whatever they're expecting him to say, because he can't say things like that, obviously. But he did do it well, like you said. He said basically, what was I kind of supposed to do? He's not had his own transfer window. How many days did he have at the end of that transfer window? 3, 4, 2?
2. He was in on the Saturday, really, but
yeah. He said he was there. He said he was there for 48 hours straight. I do notice a lot of people in the comments, discussing amongst themselves. Absolutely fine, great. Are talking about us constantly buying injured players. DCL's mentality being defined as a footballer, not getting it on. The fact we might have run him into the ground. And no pay, and no show, no pay, and all these kind of things. That it's all, it's all very unsettling to an extent, but to go back to maybe some of that unsettling or mentality wise, you were saying what was said, and also it's telling what wasn't said, is that Dyche was talking about his response about the fans and how it galvanized them and the support that we have at home, that we don't necessarily have the ability to take all of it away. And he completely understands where they're coming from. He doesn't feel it's directed at the team and the players and at him, and the players understand that. And I've heard from multiple people in the club at every level, that there is no animosity towards the fans doing this. They're voicing their concern and frustration out of love for the club and the fact that it's is it being repaid or rewarded or even acknowledged in some ways? But what was very telling in that press conference is not once did Sean Dyche mention or refer to the board.
He did not.
Thoughts?
He says he calls it the noise, doesn't he? And he's not been here long enough to assess it himself, which is a very smart way to say it. And he's not wrong. He hasn't been here long enough to know what's going on. He's got to look at them first and suss them out himself, I suppose, hasn't he? But the
He'd
noise
do well
is
to
my
sit down
favourite
with a
thing.
couple of Everton fans, wouldn't he? And actually
Yeah,
ask them.
imagine him sat in the Winslow with us after a match. What do you think? Well, Sean, you sit down and listen to what we think. But it's
a pint for me
we
and a
were
bag
both
of
there,
rocks
weren't
for
we,
my
Yann,
friend.
before Arsenal. We both walked through with everyone, and we were both sat at the match. I don't know if you were, Ryan. I didn't see you, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but there's a difference between you can stand there and protest, but you can back the team as well at the same time. And I do think we did that very well, and I think he picked up on that as well in his press conference. He did say that we backed them really well before Arsenal, and there is no issues. He's got no personal issues with it. He didn't sit there and make us feel like we shouldn't be doing it. So that's good enough for me.
By the way, this is. I hope people are enjoying the stream. Make sure you like and subscribe. Like it. Turn notifications on as well. We're gonna have a match reaction at around straight after the final whistle on Saturday. Amy, if you're not going the game and you are at home and you're not doing anything,
I am at home.
Then join Jeff for the match reaction. Win, lose or draw. I have bought some lights. You'll be pleased to know. People were saying that I was slacking off on my stream, going on my phone, going on my iPad, and not really setting the tone. So here I am. When I'm back at home, 90% of the time when it's possible, I will have my professional microphone, my headset, and these lights, so you can actually see my face. And we've actually bought a load more lights as well, so these will be distributed to the channel members. Particularly Amy, because she's, bless her, she's got her front light, but we need to get one behind her, don't we? We'll sort that for you.
Need, anything but the big light.
I have noticed people were talking about Dyche isn't going to openly criticise the board. I wasn't necessarily referring to that, because I think we all know he's not going to do that, especially in the position. He might endear himself to the fans, but he'd be hanging by a thread, with as what we seem to infer of Mashiri's involvement in decision-making processes. What I was saying is there was the very fact that he said, oh, the coaches and the staff and the players are on board and talking about the fans. The very fact of any absence of any comment towards the board is perhaps in some ways telling. It's like language analysis or neurolinguistics and pragmatic, all this kind of stuff. It's like sometimes it's not what people say, it's what they don't say that kind of is a bit telling.
He's not publicly lending them his support there. I've never seen him say, oh no, the board are brilliant. Like in the Leeds press conference, he took the time to sit there and say the board are backing him and they're brilliant and he's confident with them, but I've never heard him say that in any of his press conferences yet. Dyche, that is, obviously.
Yeah.
Look,
Speaking of press conferences, I was just going to say maybe I could move on to some interesting points from Michael Scabala, the
I was going to say
manager at Leeds. Did you guys watch that one at all?
Yeah,
I didn't see that, but Leeds haven't actually got a manager, and so Everton, this is what you have. You have to have tactical gains, marginal gains in all departments. They haven't got an experienced coach. They haven't got an experienced manager. We have to exploit that. And look, I do think it poses a different threat to us because we don't really know what Leeds are going to do. But I'm going to give you some tactical analysis and my thoughts on Leeds after Yandal talks about the press conference.
So what I will say is the only thing that they really talked about in relation to solid substance of their match against us coming up at the weekend was that they were Scubala's knowledge of Sean Dyche from when they were under the school of John Duncan, but that also that it was that it's going to be a very physical game against Decore, Onana and Garner, which funny enough, somebody asked a question about speaking French. So it's going to be physical, it's going to be aggressive, and it's going to be controlling. And their desire to control the match will come from dominating midfield. So that may be a point for you to remember when you're talking about the tactical analysis. But one interesting thing that seemed to be a theme is there seems to be, he kept talking about excitement to come to Goodison, to potentially an opportunity to get the 3 points. But he's saying things like, in response to questions of do you need to pick up these points, and he's saying every game is important, which is we hear from every manager. But it's this repetition of try, excited to try, a chance to get 3 points, rather than saying things definitive of we're going to come and bring the game. So I really do think that they, obviously we had a dip against Liverpool, but the what he knows that Sean Dyche is capable of and has brought out in Burnley players and is expecting to raise the minimum at Everton players in terms of effort and hard work. I really feel that there's an acknowledgement there that this might be a difficult game for Leeds, especially with us being at home. So they're talking about, how do you deal with our midfield rather than what game are you going to bring? So I don't know if that's something you want to.
Well, it's interesting he said that there was a midfield battle, a physical battle there, because it wasn't there against Liverpool. So I think if he was watching that game, I'd argue that there isn't anything there. I think with the crowd behind us and the willingness to win and being against a bottom rival, it will lift the players, I think. And I do think we'll see a performance similar to that against Arsenal. My main concern really is at the top end of the pitch, there's no one to put the ball in the back of the net. And if there isn't a place for Damari Gray, then I do worry about anyone actually being able to open up. Just some thoughts on Leeds then from a tactical perspective as well. In that midfield battle, they brought in Weston McKennie from Juventus, an international midfielder for the United States, actually brought in, ironically, to link up with Jesse March, who's subsequently been sacked. And McKennie is a textbook midfielder that you just expect from an American, and he's getting booked every game, and he runs around and doesn't do an awful lot, but he's kind of like a high energy sort of player. And I think in that midfield, I think they will be tenacious for Leeds. In terms of the threats that they pose, they've got Patrick Bamford, who's come back from injury in the last few games, but hasn't really hit the ground running. But out wide is what concerns me with Wilfred Goodnotto, I think his name is. Plays on the left, quite dynamic. He's a little winger, and he's got very quick feet. He's very quick. If we leave someone like Seamus Coleman 1v1 with him, I'd be very worried, very concerned. But in terms of going the other way, I don't think Leeds have got a strong defence. I think there are mistakes in them. The goalkeeper as well is suspect. So I think there are a couple of things. If we can turn them back towards themselves and make them defend, I think we can. I think we can do okay. But you have to worry about the threats. Certainly up front, they've got a lot of options, and their new winger, Notto.
Yeah, Ayling against United, where they scored them 2 goals. Powerful shots was what he was doing. They were coming out of, not necessarily in the box, really, his shots, the ones that he was doing well with. They lost most of the challenges in the air against United, was where United got them 2 goals. And they were very open in the defence in the Forest game as well. That's where Forest managed to get their goal straight through the middle of them. So
that's why Calvert-Lewin's a big loss, because they were bullied.
Yeah. If we can pull forward our defenders there and they don't get us on the counter like Liverpool did, we may be able to get one off a set piece from them, I reckon. Maybe. Because the goalkeeper isn't the strongest.
No, you're right. Set pieces are definitely an area to target and a weakness of Leeds, Ian. But, looking at the rest of that Leeds team, we're weak in transition still. We were cut open versus Liverpool. How do we stop Leeds United playing through us and exposing us with those quick players that we mentioned there? And there's plenty of them. They also brought in another striker. Was it? I can't remember. And we tried to sign him, Nutter or something.
Nonto.
No.
Giori.
£36 million they paid for him.
Oh Christ! Ryan, you put me on the spot here, and I try not to.
Rutter. Thank you, P. Thank you, P. Rutter. So, they've bought in a lot of players, and, they've not hit the ground running, but there's a lot of quality there. I almost feel like if we had their options on the wings and up front, and we had our sort of rest of the team, I think we'd be absolutely fine, but we kind of both dysfunctional for different reasons. Leeds are a bit too open. Will they come out to Everton and play? I think if they do play and leave the spaces and allow us to press them, I think we'll be okay. But, this is going to be an incredibly tough fixture.
The difficulty being is if we try to capital. I mean, we were asked about, or Dyche was asked about, set pieces, and it's obviously an element of play. If it's, you want to score from open play anyway, but if we're going to try and capitalise on set pieces, which requires men in the box, overcrowding or headers, or finding a free man, it requires committing men forward. And as we saw against Liverpool, and we know that Leeds are capable of, they're a very fast team. What are we going to do to ensure that we are running our legs off, to cover the back, so that we're not caught, 2 against 4 or 2 against 3?
Is Godfrey back?
That's what I was just about to ask.
Yeah. So this is bringing on to team news. You've got Ben Godfrey there, who's got more pace. Patterson isn't quite ready, but I think will come back eventually. James Garner, unfortunately, isn't ready as well. But you're looking at players who are a little bit more mobile in those three. Godfrey, Holgate, although I can't stand Mason Holgate. I think he's got more legs. And, the two central defenders were poor against Liverpool. How can we react? How can we understand the shape better when we lose the ball? Yes, if we're going to beat Leeds, we have to press them. We have to get players forward. We have to overcommit, Yann, as you talked about there. Overcrowding is the word you used, but making sure we've got a lot of players in the box for when the crosses come in, from when the corners and free kicks come in, win the second balls, read situations well. And that's why Idrissa Gana Gueye is going to be pivotal, mopping up. But, there's arguments for a lot of things. And one of them could be Alex Iwobi playing in the midfield 3, just to bring his additional energy and his little bit of extra speed. Get rid of Gana Gueye or Decore and bring in Damari Gray onto the wing. And I think that will bring a little bit more attacking threat, a less defensive player,
opinion?
A bit more legs.
Can I ask you guys' opinion in relation to that? In terms of having defensive coverage and faster legs, I mean, I don't think I'd drop Tarkowski and Cody at all. But do you think that lends some argument to? I mean, the players, you can debate who it would be, but if factoring what you said about Iwobi in the midfield and bringing in some maybe wingers or Gray or something like that, do you think there's an argument? And I know it's going to get some pushback. Do you think there's an argument that we might see 5 at the back or 3 centre backs and some wing backs? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Trying to factor in Tarkowski and Cody and Godfrey.
Look, a lack of pace doesn't really matter if you can squeeze up the pitch well and play as a team compact. What we do is we expose our lack of pace by having huge gaps between every area on the pitch. What we did against Arsenal very well was not allow that. So when we pushed and pressed, everyone followed in. There wasn't the ability to play in behind and use the pace because we pressed. So if we press and we back everyone up and play as a unit and press as a team, we will be fine. It will stop Leeds on transition coming through us. And I think we'll dominate. And I think we'll eventually find a way to score. But if we play open and if we don't press and if we back off and if we give them time and we do all those things, they will catch us because, Ian, the matter is we don't have the pace. We don't have the legs anywhere. This is the slowest Everton team I have ever witnessed. And I've witnessed Fellaini's and the Cahills and the PNR team, and that was not quick.
Yeah,
Amy,
but
you want to comment on that?
I don't know. It was not that it wasn't quick in terms of, okay, I understand what you're saying in terms of pace, but they were very quick and intuitive and had that sort of collaborative understanding between like Baines and Osman and PNR and the link up to overlap and create these kind of things. There was a tremendous unity and cohesiveness in the type of play that they were playing. So even though we might have had quick players, you look at Anthony Gordon when he was here, tremendously fast, but he'd take it a couple of yards too far or a touch too much, or try to take on an extra man rather than play the smart ball in. I mean, at least you saw Sim.
We're crying out for Gordon now. I mean, the reality is we need a player with speed to get up the pitch on a counter attack and someone who's going to at least try and make something happen. We're putting far too much on the shoulders of Dwight McNeil, who's been utterly, underwhelming since he actually arrived at the club. And now we're expecting him to cover wingers, get back and defend Michaelenko, who for me is an absolutely terrible player, get forward and get the ball into the box and somehow have shots and create and take the corners and do it. Are you asking so much from the players?
I would, I'd take Godfrey in on that left-hand side happily right now instead of Mick.
He can play left back, can't he?
Yeah, he can.
He's a good left back, but he's a terrible right back, which is a bit of a weird sort of...
We're missing a Baines. That's what we're missing, aren't we? Someone who can do both, do it well. and be well loved by everyone. Missed every day. But
The thing that really annoys me sometimes is like Everton, they don't do things in a very controlled way. And like you see five-a-side players who are like, you can't get the ball off them. And like Everton, it's very much like everything's panicked and rushed. And it's like, where is the control in what you're doing? And there is a way to open up teams. Look at Arsenal Man City yesterday. The standard was amazing. You wanted that game to go on for another hour. Both teams going for it. Both teams can defend 1v1. Both teams can play a high line. But it was the fact that they pass, they move, they go into the areas where the space, so they have time on the ball because they're moving into that area. And you look at us and it's like, it is, and I've said it for years, it's like Sabutio. Everyone's got rigid positions. No one wants to move out of the position. If and the minute someone moves out of that position, you're carved open like a knife through butter. It's like putting a smoked salmon bagel through the middle and chucking the salmon out and just eating the cheese. We are literally,
Look, if you'd put the smoked salmon aside and not have your avocado on toast, you could afford better equipment for us, mate. So no, but if it's cohesiveness and confidence and unity and I mean, if you change a style of play, you can teach that individually. You can say, and then you can do it in, well, you don't teach it individually. You teach it in 2s and 3s about this is what I want to go, give and go, and the circles and triangles and, and all these kind of things. But then to do that in a match experience, a match environment requires full match practice. I mean, you have to wonder. I don't know if I'm going off track, off piste, a little bit off course here, right? But when Everton first team, when they're doing these practice matches against, they're playing the starting 11 against the reserves and or some senior under 21s, 23s, right? Why do they seem to think that that's going to be okay? If you're already of a higher standard, why not play 10 or 9 against 11, or have a 12th man for them, so that you're constantly having to chase the ball and run it down? And I'm trying to.
Yann, you were making me laugh, and then Neil topped it off with this comment. We read the comments, fantastic. But right. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Sorry, did you follow what I said? It's kind of what I mean. Thorium has just come up here. I think. Well, I won't reveal names. He's been saying it for years. None of our players are willing to move and create space when we've had the ball. We have been saying this for, well, I've been saying it for 3 or 4 years, watching it. Evidently, I've been saying it previously, and we've been saying it on the channel consistently since we've been on. We resign ourselves to back passes, yeah, and that's what we ended up doing, reverting to type. And
we did that against Liverpool. And Yann, too slow? Everything we do too slow?
There were elements at the start of that game where you can see that the direction that Dyche wants the players in the team and the style of football to go in. Unfortunately, it's like learnt responses or kind of reverting to type, the kind of thing that's in your bones that takes time to change. And the way that embeds as muscle memory and instinct and responses is by it being repeated and repeated and repeated. It's learned, it's done, it's repeated and practiced and honed in a match environment, which is why it's no good to have 11 versus 11 on the training pitches at Finch Farm. If you're having a starting 11 against players that aren't making the starting 11, you need to make it 10 on 11 or 11 on 12. This is what I thought,
Yann. How are we doing a pre-match for Liverpool? When you're literally saying on the one team it's the first 11, and then the other team is like a bunch of kids, and the managers go, right, guys, I want you to mimic Mo Salah today. So I want you to play on the right, cut in on the left, dribble past 2 players, make Mikalenko fall over, and then hit it top corner. Right, I know you're only 16, but that's what we need because we haven't got anyone else. Do you know what I mean? How can we actually prepare for these games when we don't have anyone of our own to actually try and offer that sort of comparison? You're right. We probably need to do 14 against 2 or something. It's like, I just want to come to some of these comments. They're absolutely hilarious. I want your best Everton analogy so far that we're the cheese dribbling down the bagels. Quite funny.
I like with the burnt bits of the lasagna.
The burnt bits of the lasagna. That's a good one. I want to see Everton play with the same aggression and controlled defensive shape as against Arsenal. And playing as a team, playing as a unit, having that aggression in the midfield, the defenders getting in the right position, everyone fighting for each other, willing to get the balls in the box and win corners and do things. Match that with a little bit of faster play to move to, because if we haven't got the technical players, but we need a tactical edge because they haven't got a frigging manager. As people are pointing out in the comments, they haven't got a manager, so our manager's got to earn his salt. That's prove his salt, I think is the right word. Mr. English language is going to correct me. Earn his Spurs. No, we're not talking about Spurs. I hate them. You know what I'm trying to
No,
say?
Spurs on the back of you. Never mind.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. But
Okay.
we've got to have something. So if that's getting the ball forward early and playing with a bit of speed, I'd like to see that against Leeds. Otherwise, it's going to be very passive. Leeds will press us. We'll pass back. We'll pass to the side, and then eventually we'll do what we always do, and we will hoof it long to the keeper.
Are you aware that? I mean, I'm sure there'll be some in the comments who'll know this. The reason why Moyes was afforded a certain amount of, well, we didn't have a manager that was. Sorry, we didn't have a an owner that. It's all conjecture and guesswork, but at that time we didn't have an owner that was going, "This is my billions. I'm financing this. I get a say. I can withdraw." You know, it's almost like a coercive relationship. But what he also had was he had the he played a type of money ball, which was, can I get good value players who can fit into the system of tile and play? And he had this board with statistics that he'd move things around, and it's like a magnetic whiteboard with all these metrics of yes, I was going to say that, Neil. We ended up on there, earn his salt, but not worth his. Well, I don't know. It's multiple expressions. It's like money for old rope, but I won't go off into that kind of thing. That's a sailing expression. Sorry, but he had this board of metrics where he'd go, okay, let's say for argument's sake, there was a £30 million player to go out and buy. It's like, well, yes, or I could buy a 10 or 15 million pound player that does the job just as well. And then we've got some money to get a backup position, and we can get 2 or 3 years out of him before we sell him, as demonstrated. I mean, Marouane Fellaini was not the kind of player that really should have been playing at Manchester United, but we made him appear through Moyes' tactics better than he was, so that we're willing to spaff away tens of millions for him. Okay, you know, maybe that's just my thinking.
I mean, that's going very off topic, but you can talk about that. You know,
But sorry, but he basically, but the reason why I say that is he had all this physical, visual evidence to go, here is my plan. Give me the purse strings. Let me control this. Let me do that. Let me send my scouts out. Let me do that. And until Dyche has that infrastructure around him and demonstrates, I need to do this. Let me do this. He's going to be. It's hobbled. It's like breaking somebody's leg before you start a marathon.
That's why we need the stability, isn't it, of a decent manager appointment who can stay there for enough time for them to say, all right, then we trust you. Go on, go and do it. Go and get your players in that you need. Because right now, Dyche is working with players. Mason Holgate's had, 6 different managers? He's working with players who can't find that. I'm trying to find a better way to say this without swearing. I'm just going to say it. They can't find their arse with their hands. Because they've had so many different tactics thrown at them, so many different ideas that they do all revert, like we were saying earlier, back to type. As soon as they start panicking, that's it. Pass it back. Get it away from me. I'm scared. I don't want to do this. I'm not being at fault. See you later.
The fundamentals of panic football. If in doubt, put it out.
But I also think that a lot of the players are probably quite drained. You know, I can imagine that going out in every single game knowing you haven't got a cutting edge striker would be quite demoralizing. We know we haven't got the player. We know we haven't got them. We're the bloody fans know that we haven't got the players. So imagine how the players must feel. If you're a centre-back or a goalkeeper at Everton or anyone in that team, you're going, well, we haven't got that. And you just feel that negativity. And then I feel like that creeps into a play. You saw it against Liverpool. The minute things got tough, it was backwards, sideways, back to the keeper, hoof, lose it, no one in support. And everything about what was good against Arsenal, which was the overloads on the wings and the stopping them playing through the middle and just snuffing them out completely and playing aggressive football, turning them the other way, was gone. You know, Liverpool had centre-backs missing, midfielders missing. I know they still brought in world-class players, but in some areas they weren't at their best, and we bottled it, and we can't bottle against Leeds. I don't think the fans will allow them, but I think the first 15 minutes are going to be so pivotal. We need to start on the front foot. We can't allow Leeds to come into the game and start to unsettle Leeds, try and get an early goal. But I think it would be, you know, it is demoralising for the players. I think if you stuck someone like Romelu Lukaku up front in this team, you're instantly going to get 20% more from everyone because they know we've got a world-class striker. If we get the reduced thing, we're going to win the game.
We know what. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like I feel like shite when I'm using crap headphones, crap microphone, crap stream. I come on here, I think this is I'm not at my best. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a very relatable thing, and we're like a very dysfunctional thing. We're like a car with no seats, and you expect to have a
Can't think
comfortable
of another
journey.
team that don't have a solid striking option either. Never mind, don't have backup striking options for when things like this happen. If we know Dominic Calvert-Lewin is likely to get injured once, twice, 3 times a season, which
Once,
we
twice,
are
3
aware
times
of
a
now.
lady.
Yeah.
Some would say
Once, twice, 3 times an injury.
once, twice, 3 times a lady. Can I ask you though about someone like Brighton, because Brighton don't have a real genuine world class number 9, but they've got
Don't have a
loads of
world-class
midfielders
one,
that
but
do things and players all
yeah,
over that
their
contribute.
midfielders can score, so it's not really a problem. Like, for them, really, they've got, like, you know, you were saying we don't have that confidence because we know we don't have a all-and-out certified goal scorer in the team. They know they've not got a goal scorer in the team, but they know how to do their individual jobs in order to get those goals in, enough to score plenty past the rest of us anyway.
I mean, it all ties together, I suppose. Maybe it's stuff I just didn't piece together what it's saying, but the Blues, and I know it's said before that we've only conceded 7 more goals than Man City, who are top of the league. It's clear our lack of goals is the reason we're here, right? So, and as you say with Romelu Lukaku, if we had a regular, reliable goal scorer that then feeds into this sort of consistent mentality or consistency mentality where the players know that they know what they have to do. They have to keep plugging at it and doing the same thing, and then there's also there's going to be a reward or a purpose in putting the ball up. Then if they do that, eventually it leads to goals. Whereas at the moment, if we don't, we're wondering, are we gonna lump the ball up, not retain possession, or not score, not get an attempt on target, not knock a second ball down for somebody else to have a shot. We're just going to lose possession and be caught flat-footed. So, the other team can't score if they
They'll
don't
come
have
back
the
the other
ball.
way.
So,
They'll come back.
sorry.
Yeah, but at the same time, I sit here and I'm really quite demoralised because it was only 2 years ago we had Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up front as a pair, and they could shift and we could play with one, and one would go on the wing if needed. And then we had Gylfi Sigurdsson. I don't care what he's done. It's not relevant to the actual purpose of the footballing element yet. He was creative in terms of very good at crossing the ball, very good at set pieces or corners. Didn't score a direct set piece, but he was a very good player in that regard.
He
Didn't
took
always come
shots.
off. He took penalties. He was a threat from outside the box with his long shots, and he could finish. And James Rodriguez as well. So you've got James, Gylfi, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin. You've got Luca Dean from left back, can cross the ball. Coleman more towards his prime. And I feel absolutely drained that I'm now looking at this. And someone did the graphic of the entire 11 against Liverpool. And I looked at that and thought, Ellis Sims up front is a championship striker at best. Iwobi was our worst player for years. And now all of a sudden is our best player, our saviour, our messiah, he's going to take us back to wherever, resurrection or whatever you believe in the land of Israel. You've got in midfield, Decore, who was frozen out by Lampard for a lack of effort in training. Onana, we don't quite know whether he's what he is. Is he a box to box? Is he a number 6? I think he's a number 6. I just think he's being shoehorned into other positions because of desperate times. Garner, who PSG thought was bad. McNeil, who didn't score a goal last season. All championship players. Connor Cody, Wolves absolutely found him out. They said he's not good enough, got rid of him. Tarkovsky left on a free. I think he was probably the only player who had a bit of reputation to go somewhere else. And then you've got 2 championship fullbacks in Michaelenko and Coleman. So we are a championship team playing in the Premier League. We are dysfunctional. And I feel like all you need really is just like 1 or 2 top class players up front, throw them in, and it gives us such more chance. And that's basically why we survived last season, because we had 2 cutting edge players at the top. Now we haven't got anything. And I go into these games and it's hope. It's not expectation now against Leeds. We're at home and it's hope. It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace. And that's why I agree now with the protests and the sort of the meetings tonight, talking about how they can put pressure on the board, because I think although I've tried to stay impartial and as on a channel, we like to see things from a wider angle, don't we, Ian? We also sit here, we're fed up. Look, I mean, this is him on the stream. He's like,
sorry,
I'm pissed off.
No, I was looking at.
You've got a lot going on, don't worry.
I was looking at why we didn't sign Gyökeres from Coventry or Ben Brereton Diaz from Blackburn, And I was just based on what you were saying, and it's really not what I want. It's not what any of us wants. Maybe we'll get to see more of them next season.
Scared to take a risk. And I think when you're operating on such a small budget and the stakes are so high, almost something doing nothing, as my mum would say to me, one of her phrases would be, if in doubt, do not. And I feel like with some of the recruitment, it has been if in doubt, do now. But also,
I feel like a lot of them said no as well. I think a lot of them looked at us and went, no thanks, not right now. Not with the... I don't think half of them are worried that we're going to stay in the Premier League. I think it is a lot of Sean Dyche's internal noise and stuff like that does stress them out. There's not much going on right now. We don't have an idea. Like we've been saying most of this conversation, Uford up the front, Uford back to the goalkeeper. There's no solid idea where a player can come in and say, that's where I'd fit in. That's where I'd work from. That's what I would do for this team, because we don't really have a clue as a team what our ideas are to do those things, if that makes sense. Like, how are we going to use Gikaras if we've not got someone behind him in the midfield who can give him those decent passes and the balls that he needs? It's Ellis Sims as well, I do want to note, isn't going to walk into a Premier League Everton after playing where he has been playing and do brilliantly against Liverpool Football Club. It's never going to happen. If we want to use him as a striker, he's going to have a bit of chance, a bit of... Not that we've got time for breathing space, but breathing space where he can grow his confidence, which was why he was out on loan. So now, if he's our only option, we've got to figure out how we play around him rather than how he plays for us right now, I think. If he's our only goal-scoring chance, we've got to work to his pros.
When you were talking about having a striker and who'd feed it in, I do think that there are some players that would step up and do that, sort of Alex Iwobi.
Onana.
Onana, I was literally just about to say, because Kevin said nobody takes responsibility in the team, which is a worry. To a certain extent, I think Onana has that possibility and potential to do that. Sometimes it comes across as a bit rash and impulsive because he gets the drive and he wants to do it, but then again he's young and he's like, just do it. Just do it. And that would be good if it had an immediate response from the team. Like I remember seeing the start of the season, the away game at Aston Villa when I was there, and he wanted the team to push on, and you could see his frustration on his face. It's like, why are you guys not doing this? I'm here. I'm give me the ball, take the ball, run with it, put it in.
Can I just say that's the only bloody time we've seen him actually do anything. You know, he came on off the substitutes bench. He ran into the box and put it across the face. Where's he been the last 20 games or whatever? He's not. He plays within himself. I like him as a defensive midfielder because I think he can tackle and cover the ground.
Because under Lampard,
he's clearly got a lot more in his game.
Because under Lampard, the style of football that he was playing, it was stifling. It was sort of survival football. You don't have the room to have that flair and expression if it's just keep the ball, make it safe, don't leak goals. So I can understand how that's been. No, that's not how we're going to do it. And then obviously we're in the situation where. Sorry, it's broken record. Same thing again and again.
Can I get your team news then, Amy? Who would you go with 1 to 11 on your formation?
Pickford, left to right. Godfrey. Cody Tarkowski. Am I allowed to say Holgate? Are you all going to tell me off if I just try anything other than Coleman? It's between Coleman and Holgate there, I think. I'm not sure how well Holgate would do completely on the right on his own. You know what, Yann? Back five, Holgate, Coleman. And then we're going to have Garner, Onana, Iwobi. Yeah, Garner, Onana, Iwobi. I like him as a midfielder. And then we're going to have Sims and, don't crucify me, Mope.
Amy, it's such a bad team. It's like
I'm sorry. I'm so
Mope
sorry.
and Sims up front with Iwobi, Onana, and Garner behind. It's like no threat with no creativity behind and no pace and no wing backs to get forward. And then you've got 3 slow, decrepit, washed up central defenders. Don't watch that game if that's the team. Turn it off.
I want a solid defence. I want us to be able to defend in the midfield as well as get forward. And I want someone to score a goal. That's all I'm asking for.
But
And they
realistically, Amy,
are
he's
my
not
best
going to
out
do
of
that,
that
is he?
bunch.
Because he likes to make sure his team is very compact and has everyone across the midfield.
He's never going to do it. He's never going to listen to me with that one, is he? Where I
But
just
I
want
appreciate
anything.
Amy.
If I was on Football Manager right now,
They're
that's what
laughing
I'd be telling him to do.
I don't know if you can see the comments, Amy, but we've got loads of you
Are
watching.
they all
and
slating
people
me?
yeah, just laughing. Just on what I said about Onana before, I just want to clarify. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's a player that I think he's playing at maybe 50% of his potential. And I don't whether that's down to him or the manager. We'll soon find out. Yann, I'm going to ask you the same question. Amy's gone for the 5-2-3, 5-3-2. A great team, which doesn't have any pace, strength, technical ability, tactical ability, physical traits, or ability to score a goal. Have you got anything that can inspire me? Maybe a goal from outside the box, maybe someone who can finish in and around the box, some good movements and pace, someone with a footballing brain, someone who can read situations. Have you got anything to offer me on that? Or, I mean,
Me or Amy?
you. I want your team. I want you to tell me how give me a team that's going to win this game 3-0 like we did last season. And don't say Man City because we're talking about the blue one, a blue Everton team.
Okay. Begovic? No, I'm joking.
Going from bad to worse. Davis. It could get worse. This is Everton without many injuries. We've got Garner coming back, Patterson coming back. But imagine if we had a few injuries and it's Davis and Holgate and Begovic.
Davis and Holgate alone. It can't be worse than what I
Yann's
just
saying,
said.
ask me in 3 months when the transfer window's open.
See, the thing is, I don't know whether to go for Mykolenko at left back to be a good defensive player and hopefully to not get skinned, because he did really well against Arsenal. Right, and they've got some really good, strong wingers. And if he's at the left, he's going to be... Who's on the right for... Rocker? No, oh, Christ, I don't even know because they've got some...
I'm going to get the team versus Leeds because I thought you knew this.
Yeah, but we've also talked about stuff that's planted so many seeds of doubt. Like, why not just play that fella who scored the penalty against bloody Dynamo Kiev?
Paul Stratton.
Yeah, Paul Stratton. What a fella. That was... Anyway, Pickford, obviously. Cody and Tarkowski, although if you want to question Cody's suitability because he could have cleared off the, or you wonder how he was responsible for conceding that, maybe we put Godfrey in at left centre back to cover for Mykolenko. But I'm going to go left to right. Godfrey, Tarkowski, Cody and Coleman. That's the defence. Right, are you writing this down? Or not? We're going to go Garner. Onana, possibly slightly in front of him on the right, and Iwobi on the left, so then they can cut out onto the wings.
Yeah. Dual eights.
Yeah,
with a holding.
Because Iwobi doesn't need to. If Godfrey's quick and he's a decent defender, I'm not saying that Coleman's not a good defender, but Onana can cover a little bit if Coleman comes forward and Godfrey comes. You know what I'm trying to say.
If is a big ask, by the way. If he's a decent defender.
Yes, all right. Thank you for the Spartan response. If we win, how are we going to do it? Yeah, if. Thank you very much. Right. So Pickford, Godfrey, Tarks, Cody, Coleman. Garner, Iwobi, Onana.
This is when it becomes the issue, when you've just got to say, fucking throw them in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, right. Can we have a 12 players?
Look, the 12 players, the fans, and the 13th's got to be the manager.
McNeil, Sims, and Gray.
See, we don't even have
Decore. What about Decore? Oh, Christ. Okay, all right.
If this is what the manager had to do. We don't even have a bloody penalty taker in that team.
Sorry. Decore and Onana, and then McNeil and Iwobi on the wings with Sims up front. So Godfrey, Tarkowski, Cody, Coleman, Garner, Decore, Onana, McNeil, Sims, Iwobi. Or Mope then. What do you want to do? Mope? Like, what do you want me to... I'm literally picking our best 11 players. What do you want me to do?
I didn't see the reaction then when I slammed down. Because obviously I slammed down. What was the reaction?
Pickford in goal. And I'm simply, Pickford in goal. And I'm saying Godfrey at left back because it's something that we discussed and it's something that we're talking about Leeds' pace. So Godfrey, Tarkowski, Cody and Coleman. Garner, Decore and Onana. McNeil and Iwobi. Or maybe Gray and Iwobi then. And then Sims or Mope up front. I don't know. Do you want a target man in Sims?
Right, no, guys. Can we get everyone's team in the comments, please? Before we wrap things up. I want everyone's team now, please, in the comments.
What's your team, Ryan?
Ryan.
Ryan.
What's your team, Ryan?
What I think and what I want is two different things. I'd like to see Calvert-Lewin play 50% fit, I'm honest.
Yes.
He's not playing. Sean said no. You can't have Calvert-Lewin.
Can't be that fit. He's not injured. Said he's not injured. There's nothing on the scan. No, but seriously, I'd go 4-4-2 in this game and I'd drop Garner or Decore and I'd bring in Damari Gray to play up front with Ellis Sims.
Trying to say.
4-4-2.
Oh, yeah,
or I'd put Iwobi in midfield. Iwobi in midfield for one of the two crabs, Garner or Decore. Or Onana, they're all the same for me. And then I bring in Ben Godfrey at left back as well, just to bring a bit of pace in the recovery when we need to get back and try and stop Gnotto when he's going one-on-one. But there are options, I think. There's a case for 4-4-2, certainly, just to make sure that whoever is up front has a bit of support. But I suppose you could do that from a 4-4-1-1 position, where Decore, who was doing that against Arsenal, could be replaced with Gray. It just depends how adventurous he's going to be. I think we need to bring a bit of pace into the team. Godfrey, Damari Gray, and I hope he finds a way. But what I do expect will be probably the same team against Liverpool, if I'm being honest with you. This is Kevin's team. Godfrey, Cody, Tarkowski, Coleman, McNeil, Onana, Decore, Iwobi, Gray, and Sims.
I don't hate
that's what I've just said. Or very, very similar. Yeah, same. Dave's Weston's team. I've got Thorium's team. The Blues' team. It's gone with Sims and Gray in a 4-4-2. Jack's saying 4-4-1-1. Play a 3-4-3-3-4 shape. Have attackers press, leave midfield and backline to defend. Have false 9 drop deep for passes and number 9 to go long, plus 2 wide players to spread play. And this particular one from Peter, sponsored by Football Manager. Can I get your predictions?
Oh, you know I'm a jinx.
2-1.
See, it's me struggling now to find if Everton will score a goal for me to put a goal next to our name. This is where I always struggle. It's going to be 0-0 or 1-0. I'm not expecting anything huge. I'm really not.
I'm going to go with a 1-0 Everton. I don't think you can predict much
Gladys
else.
Street
really.
will force the goal. That's what I'm saying. All right.
We've got Thurium saying 1-0, Dave saying 1-0. Richo's coming in with a very bold 3-1. We did beat them 3-0 last time. Jack's saying 2-0. We play like the a League One team away at Man United.
Is it not possible to say that we play a 4-2-2-2 kind of, you know what I mean? Two central midfielders that are a bit defensive, like Garner and Onan, or I don't know.
Does anyone think Leeds will win? In their deep in their back of their head, do they think Leeds are just going to beat us?
On that note, I'm going to duck out of the channel.
Yeah, that's me.
2-2 from Mike Flynn. Dave says Yann wants 20 players on the pitch.
Yes, because that's, I think, the only bloody way we'll win at this rate.
Yeah, there are a few people that think we're going to lose. What's the style of play then? Is it going to be hoofball?
Better not be.
I hope not.
I'd hope
There's
we
no
suck
one
it
to
into the
take the
net.
hoofball on, is there? So,
Michael Keane up front, I think.
oh, he'll finally get that goal that I've been dying for him to get every time I gamble.
Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything. So if you've got anything else you want to say about this, maybe about Everton in general, the protest or anything on Liverpool, or just anything you want, is there anything you want to cover?
I'd like to cover my arse, but you know, you expose everything I've got to say on this channel. It's
maybe like a small beg, like if any of you are watching, any of the Everton team, backroom staff, manager, please do something, anything. Please don't lose, and that's all I have to say to them right now. But there is tonight. There's a teams meeting on Top Belt 4's Twitter thing about that fans meeting about the protest. If people want to watch that, they can watch that. I know that's a thing, and I feel like quite a lot of us are all in the same boat with that right now. Want to get involved, so that's a thing going on. Other than that, up the Toffees.
said with a lot of confidence there.
It's literally like, I'm so depressed as it comes to. We just want to say we started the channel 2 years ago yesterday. Although this brand has existed since 2007, I was a 14-year-old with an Everton website. We set up the YouTube 2 years ago. We were in the top 4 or around the top 4. Decore got injured. And then James Rodriguez couldn't stay fit. And we kind of ended up in 10th from being in around the top 4. And we stuck with it. And we kept coming on doing these post-match reactions and these previews and these other streams. And it's just gradually gone from bad to worse. And we'll probably be, you might as well rename it, Follow Everton Down to the Championship or something, you know. We're probably the jinx. Neil's saying he blames Basil.
Ryan, I have to say that my dad's funeral was more uplifting than this video.
Would your dad have any positivity towards this right now? Because I think he'd come on very matter of fact and say, Everton are rubbish. I think that's basically what he'd say.
Well, what my dad said at it was about this time last year. It was 11 months ago at the start of March. And he said it's a very real possibility that we'd get relegated last season. And if we do, if we would have done, we'd have deserved it. And he said in about November, December, during the World Cup, and I think you'll recall it was, I don't know, you and I were talking, or me and Jeff and I and Mabsy, I think, were talking after a channel in the sort of green screen studio area after this. And my dad was just sat here and he was talking, and he said, he said, in some regards, he's accepted that we might get relegated, and it is what it is. And I think the way he sort of accepted that was, rather than, I guess, fight against it, was to accept it. And it's like chasing a loss when you're in the casino or at the bookies. And I'm not a big gambler because one of my first full-time jobs was working in a bookies, and I saw people lose a lot of money. But I know people here maybe are, and it's about, you know, you spend what you're willing to lose.
And make sure you spend it here.
Yes.
With our friends.
T-shirts very wonderfully donated.
18 plus gamble responsibility. Responsible.
Please do. There is GamCare, there is GambleAware. You can self-exclude. There are restrictions and self-imposed guidances on every website nowadays. Do take care of your money, especially in the current economic climate.
And if you do need more advice, please contact Yandolf1 on Twitter.
Right,
£1 bets are more fun than £10 bets. That's what I have to add there.
So essentially, the thing is, you can't really change anything until you have your eyes open to the situation you're in. And at some point, if it looks like we're beyond saving for this season, I think we have to accept and prepare and I'm not saying this is what we're doing. I'm just talking about hypothetical situations. Is that you don't follow losses, you don't sink money into it. You sort of accept the situation and go, okay, well, how do we prepare for the situation we're going to be in? We've got a stadium with a massive increase in match day revenue, which would improve financial fair play, which means that we can increase our spending on players and wages. We can entice that. If we, I don't know, but what my dad would have said was, it is what it is. And I think when we went the game, even when the last game I went with him and it was shit and we lost 4-1. And I think what we have to do now is, it's depressing, it's sad, it's heartbreaking. But I think we still have to enjoy going the game. Going with your friends, going with your dad, going with your kids, going afterwards, moaning about Everton, doing the fan channel, which you started 2 years ago yesterday, because it was the middle of COVID and people want a connection. You just have to make the most of what you've got. Yeah, and that's it.
Sorry, trying to just liven it up a little bit. Shouldn't have made that comment.
Sorry.
Well, Amy, have you got anything you'd like to say, sweetheart?
No, he's very
Crowd
right.
love you, by the way.
Just enjoy it. Just watch it for what it is. It's just a stupid sport that we go with our friends and our family with, and the world keeps turning even when we lose consistently, and we can all talk about it, and it gives us all something to make friends over, and it doesn't really matter where they end up, because regardless, even if we're in the Championship next season, we're all going to go, and we're all going to complain, and we're all going to stand outside, and we're all going to kick off, and we're all going to say, that was absolutely awful. But then we're going to go the week after again, and again, and again.
Very good words from Amy. And just to add to that, I think everyone, we should accept that, it really, at the end of the day, it means nothing except for the 23 and a half hours you spend a day on Twitter and Facebook searching for Everton, the 6-hour round trip to the match and back, the 45 minutes you sit in the car trying to get out of the Stanley car park. The
wondering why every single week they change the lanes in the tunnel to allow, so that you're down to one lane going in, and and it's never that on when it's a Liverpool home game. Yeah, I absolutely know it's madness. If you want another bagel analogy, if football were a bagel, we're the bloody hole.
Oh.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, if Everton were
Wrap
a
that
milk,
bagel up.
we'd be the red milk, and that's what I have to say.
If Everton were a milk, we'd have gone off 2 months ago. If Everton were a milk, we're the cat milk without the lactose.
I'm reminded of the Father Ted quote. It's like, well, you have to deliver it, otherwise the milk will go off. Unless it's UHT. But nobody drinks that because it's shite.
But if it does make you feel better, it's just a game of football. That doesn't mean anything apart from absolutely fucking everything.
But we still have the supper bar, like Jack said. They run efficiently, and I am glad about the supper bar. So if we're happy about one thing today about Everton, the supper bar will be where I'll leave that.
The new stadium's coming along nicely, isn't it?
I know. Are we all gonna still
it's like living
down County Road and then walk up together en masse? Is that what we're gonna do? Or
then there does need to be some. I really do think that there should be some element of we have to have that match day culture at the new ground, and there should be some consultation or ability for the club to take charge, because Peel Ports own the entire stretch of land and all the properties. They've done nothing, but they're going to make a killing.
All derelict.
But they're going to make a killing on the potential and the match day revenue that they can argue is projected revenue for businesses. Now there's the Spello, the Winslow, the Oak, the Abbey, these kind of pubs that are fundamental around the ground. You've got the supper bar, you've got Sonny's newsagents, you've got the chippy on the corner opposite the church, you've got the programme fair.
Crap one on the corner next to the newsagents where you wait 40 minutes for a stale kebab.
Oh, no, not that one. Oh, no, I'm not on about that one. I'm on about the little chippy in the corner that's opposite the merch stand.
the Blue Dragon.
In between. No, it doesn't have a name. It's like a garage shutter thing, the little chippy where you go inside and you queue outside on Gladys Street. It's on the corner on the corner, sort of the corner that's between the church and the William Hills.
Jan's favourite is the Greek one where you order a portion of chips and
right.
you get it 20 minutes into the
Right.
game.
No, but basically, like the little one that's run by the blonde lady and her husband, and their son looked or used to a few years ago look like a bloody double of Leon Osman. Anyway,
Denise
but what they should
Baxendale
do
and
is get in
Kenwright.
touch with these people and try to build some sort of match day culture cohesiveness and plan for how to transport some of that to the ground. Like I was wondering why the club don't have the facility to have media rooms so that you can have a little room for people like us on a camera with a mic. Obviously they can't necessarily show favoritism, but it's like, okay, we're doing this for in relation to the Crouch Report and the Fan Advisory Board. We have 10 rooms here or 20 rooms or anything just down a corridor that are all connected up to the internet. They can't show the game and it is soundproof, so we're listening through one ear for the crowd or anything like that. If somebody wants to do it on match day, and and then before or after the game, you can do that, and there might be some officials at the club who wanted to come in and talk about things and can spend 5 minutes with each group. It's about bringing all the fans as a big family together, and essentially we're all moving home, whether you call it a home, a church, a pilgrimage, whatever it is, that is being moved.
But
and
it is going to be like getting a fancy new home and not having a kitchen
Yeah.
at the moment.
It's like living in the caravan out the back while it's kitted out or something. You know what I mean? It's
Look
what
at
we're
my
gonna do.
gorgeous house, 5-bed, detached, beautiful garden. But sorry,
Here's
I
the bucket
don't
at
ever
the bottom of
think
the garden.
you piss in the toilet, which is outside, and it's like got cobwebs, and that's how I feel about Everton right now, moving into that stadium. All fair coat, no knickers.
Yeah. I
I'm
worry
too
that
much
it's
an
going
ideas
to.
person, and
I don't want it to end up like when you go to the Etihad and they've got that lovely fan zone outside and that, and everyone's all there paying a tenner a pint and 14 quid a burger, and there's someone selling you an half and half scarf and that. I don't want that. I want it to be normal. I want it to be Everton behaviour, and it just doesn't. It's going to be too posh for us. I think we're all going to be a bit overpaced by it for a good season. Yeah, I think we're going to be like,
a steakhouse
toilet
restaurant
flushes.
with
There's one lock.
reservations
What are you
over.
on about?
Well, I'm in
steak.
Calderstones and Yandalf was in Greasby, so I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine over.
Why are you telling people where we live, you muppet?
I'm from St Helens. This is going to kill me.
From St Helens, you're not there now.
Preston's equally as worse.
Not necessarily. Neil talking about officials from the club coming on a fan channel. Also, PMAC has said, that'd be Bloodsport, and that would need owners who give a toss. And there's a wheel room that's been restored as for that. So that'd be amazing. But what I'm saying is not necessarily officials from the club, but like we had Johnny Garside from Everton in the community. And there are people who are genuinely interested in not just the footballing side, but the whole Everton culture. And it just shows you.
It's not relevant though, is it? It's got to be the footballing people at the end of the day that we need.
Yeah, but why not get some of the under obviously if they can't answer questions or we have guidelines, but why not get some of the young players in, the ones that are match day ball boys, and you can talk about funny things and stories.
Because you can't sit on this stream, none of us can, and without going, oh hello, thank you for coming on, Ken Wright or Mo Malzaghi or anyone. Why are we shit? Why are we still shit? I've been watching us for 29 years. We're still shit. Can you just answer that question for me? Why? Well, the problem is they sold my boy again. They sold my boy. That would be.
Yeah, but you need to. Okay, right. The thing is, though, you're going to jeopardize a relationship with the club. You've got to have someone with a bit of banter, and a lot of scouts.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that.
Ed O'Brandy's thing when he was getting sledged at the wicket, and it's like, hey, why are you so fat? It's like, because every time I stop your wife, she gives me a very small biscuit.
Oh. So that's it. Congratulations on making it out, St Helens. Thank you very much. I'm very proud of that one. What else are we all saying?
If you could stick one person on this channel now to interview them, who would it be? Would
Sean
it be
Dyche.
Dale? Or would it be Sean?
Yeah.
I want Marcel Brands. He was very juicy with what he said in his last couple of interviews, and I think I could get it out of him. He went a bit mad, didn't he, when he left? And he did a lot of slagging off. I think we could get some insider knowledge. And I also have a lot of burning questions to ask him about recruitment before farewell as well that I'd like answering.
Very good.
Who would you
Amy.
have?
the thing is, though, we'll have lost some of our goodwill and credibility. That even though we may. I'm not saying there's the potential for, even if we've got the best people in the job right now, capability wise, if they don't have the bank of credibility that comes with who they work with and the club and the situation of the club and their sort of level of prestige, that it's not going to get. Yeah.
No, they don't have to be alive. You can interview anyone.
Oh
yeah. Right. Okay. Your thoughts. Who would you? Right. You know what? Let's put a banner. Let's do something.
I was thinking about what Sean Dyche was saying before about the recruitment process, and he was sat for 48 hours, like up all night trying to find someone. And I do wonder whether the recruitment process is like, yeah, just looking now. There's an under-8s game going on down the road. Walton are playing. Oh, he was only 6. Do you know what I mean? It's like most amateur sort of recruitment. Thanks for the stream, everyone, by the way. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, what we want you to do now, because we've already pushed you to subscribe, is turn the bell, turn notifications on. Turn notifications on. What should they do, Amy?
They should subscribe, and if they have subscribed, they should press the little bell and turn the notifications on, and they should like it as well.
Very well trained.
What's that? Ring my bell.
Thanks, Si. Who would you like to see us interview on the channel, dead or alive?
I think if you're going to say someone dead, you've got to say someone alive as well, because there might be a chance we could get them on.
Well, we tried with Stephen Pienaar. He agreed to come on. And then he didn't do it. Dan was in charge of negotiations. Our former member, Dan, he actually got Pienaar to agree to come on, but Pienaar decided not to. And Dan also got Lee Carsley to agree to come on, and then eventually didn't do
Lee
it.
Carsley off, though, I think.
I do. Dead. If you're not picking Dixie Dean as the dead one because of all, he's got a statue. You've got to pick him, and then Tim Cahill because I love him.
Neville Southall because he's just a lovely fella.
How are you getting on with that? How are the negotiations going? Have we given up
on what?
Trying to get Neville on.
Oh, I wouldn't ask him to Well, I might, but I don't know. I mean, he does a hell of a lot of stuff. Otherwise, he does stuff for charity. He does stuff with that the secret football.
We're going to interrogate him.
He's a lovely man. Lovely man.
He is.
What do you think we're going to do? Slaughter him? We're just asking normal questions.
What, the finest goalkeeper that we, or indeed any other footballing club in the world, has ever had, and not just that, but his quality as a human being surpasses his goalkeeping skills.
Yeah, Alan Stubbs was one there, and he is doing a lot recently with fan interaction. Is what I'm going to say. I think Alan would come on, give us a chat.
Who would like to take charge of it, Amy? Because you're a lady, I think you'll have more chance because you can flutter those.
Lady.
You can flutter the false eyelashes.
Please, Alan.
You know what? It might not do any. I'll try to ask in my politest and most well-worded way that it wouldn't hurt just to send Nev a message. I'll do that. Like, by all means, don't people who are watching, please don't overwhelm me with messages. But if I do tweet, if I send him a message or tweet or something like that, then, you know, do reply to the tweet and stuff and retweet. But
NevilleSouthall@gmail.com. Please come on our stream.
NevilleSouthall@gmail.com. Yeah. Jasmine's saying that I can't say that you're allowed to flutter your eyelashes. I'm getting told off.
Thanks, Jazz. Psychopath is a good one, and he goes out to some of the Everton events and that as well. Like I've met him. I shook his hand, took him to the hotel for his wife to pick him up. He's a lovely man.
Pat Van der Hout.
Yeah. He's brilliant. He's brilliant, man.
I'd just like to apologise formally for the comment, which might have been interpreted as sexist. It was just a joke because, yeah.
Yeah, because I've got lovely long lashes and I can be all.
You're Mr. Grumpy with a beard. You look like the chief rabbi of Allerton Road Synagogue. I'm only messing, Yann. He's had to mute me so he can go, fuck's sake. Oh, Ma'am, They're bullying me again on the stream. Mum, you said I live in Greasby. You can't do that to me, Mum.
Kevin Campbell, he tweeted me once and told me to have a lovely day at Southampton, so we've got a rapport. Me and Kevin are like that. I'll ask him.
Do you know who I'd love to have on the channel? Daniel Amakachi.
Why?
But because he was an Everton striker when we were what? Well, he was an Everton striker, and he's still got connections to the city. I think he invested in property in Liverpool, didn't he?
Why are you taking a picture of me? Because it's funny.
Ammo.
It's because of my new setup. It's so expansive. I've got lights behind me, in
Did you
front
say
of me.
expansive or expensive? Because
no, they
yeah,
were very
so-
cheap.
Yeah, don't tell everyone it was expensive. We saw them receipts.
in the spirit of our BBC style impartiality, there are plenty of shops out there. But Ryan, would you like to detail the fantastic bargain that you found?
Yeah. Today, after being very criticised for the terrible lighting, and I'll actually show you how bad the lighting was before. So it looked like that.
Right, I would like to.
A bit like Ian's, basically.
Yeah, I do have some, but it's. But anyway, so
this is what we were dealing with. So I went to B&M, and then went to Asda, and
then you went to. Didn't you go to Home and Bargain? Right.
No,
okay. Argue
I
amongst
knew what they
yourselves in the
were.
comments whether it's Home and Bargain or Home Bargains.
They were. I was fully expecting to pay £20 for this tall light on the tripod, and I got it for £5, and I advertised it on the Follow Everton group chat that they were £5. And Ian sent me back into the shop, and I bought another 3. So his face is going to be lit up like Blackpool, where he's from, soon. Along the.
It was a twist of fate. I should have been born in Liverpool, all right, but I was born very premature, and we were in Blackpool at the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, actually, so was it? Did you just come out of nowhere, unexpected?
Well, surprisingly enough, I came out of my mother, but
You weren't like ET or anything.
No, I was born about 7 weeks prem.
Oh,
nearly died.
Just get bored of waiting.
Really? Shit! I was about to say something really horrible, and then you actually nearly died.
My mum nearly died. I was in an incubator for like a bloody 3 weeks or something.
Christ.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right. It's probably the
Doesn't
smoking.
really
It's only 35 years ago, but so were you meant to be born in Liverpool? Were they coming back to Liverpool to give birth?
Well, I don't really know, and I don't really want to talk, about all that kind of stuff. That's I don't know, but it would have been nice because I don't know. My great grandfather was born in Liverpool. I'm sure his parents came over, but my granddad and my dad, yeah, just would have been nice because both my granddad went to the Uni of Liverpool, my dad went to the Uni of Liverpool, I went to the Uni of Liverpool. It's just.
But no, I was just curious to know whether you were meant to be born in Liverpool and something, or maybe they were on a day trip and your mum saw the Blackpool lights and thought, I'm going to give birth, or whether there's something a lot more deeper into it. But I'll leave you to share in due course whether it's appropriate or not. I mean, I feel like we probably need to do a meet the team video, because when you actually click on a YouTube channel, you don't see any videos. You kind of have to just like click on the live section and then you've got all the videos. I feel like we should just do a one-on-one interview with Amy and a one-on-one interview with Yann. And
I mean, I've had people ask about.
Yann, can we do that now? Can we end the stream? Can I actually interview you with Amy about your life? Or have you got something better to do?
I've not got anything better to do. No, yeah, go for it. If I don't want to answer, or I kind of, then I don't want to go on too much of a rant, then yeah, all right, whatever you want to do. Guys, we will leave the football because it's gone a bit off-piste and off-topic. Please do come back as soon as possible. Stay on the channel on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook and all that, and we'll be doing a bit of a random non-footballing midweek. Yeah.
Subscribe, trot.
Thanks.
Click that button.